In today's episode, we're looking at the dumbest animal attacks ever recorded. From a spearfisher who turned himself into bait, to a sanctuary visitor who learned that barriers can fail. But first, we start in suburban Florida, where one social media stunt ended in the most horrifying way possible. It was June 15th, 2021, in a quiet, suburban neighborhood in central Florida, where a retention pond bordered a newly developed housing community. The man-made water feature, designed to manage stormwater runoff, had become an unofficial gathering spot for residents, despite the clearly posted "Do Not Feed" wildlife signs around its perimeter. The pond's calm surface reflected the evening sky, while manicured grass slopes provided easy access to the water's edge. Spanish moss draped from nearby oak trees, creating an almost picturesque setting that masked the lurking danger beneath the surface. Megan Holt, a 23-year-old retail associate, had arrived at the pond with two friends for what had become their regular evening hangout. Her companion, a 24-year-old co-worker known for seeking attention on social media, had been encouraging increasingly bold content for their online posts. The third member of their group, a 26-year-old delivery driver, had a history of impulsive decisions and had been feeding the pond's resident alligator scraps of food on previous visits. Their routine had conditioned the large reptile to associate human presence at the water's edge with an easy meal. The warm June evening had drawn several other residents to the area, creating a false sense of security through numbers. As the trio approached the pond that evening, a 58-year-old handyman walking his dog had noticed their intentions and warned them about the posted signs. His cautious nature and years of living in Florida had taught him to respect the dangerous wildlife that inhabited even suburban water features. However, his warnings went unheeded as the group focused on capturing the perfect shot for social media. The setting sun cast long shadows across the water, making it difficult to spot movement beneath the surface. American alligators are apex predators that have remained virtually unchanged for millions of years. These powerful reptiles can grow up to 14 feet. Alligators are ambush predators, capable of explosive bursts of speed from a stationary position. They typically hunt by remaining motionless just below the water's surface, with only their eyes and nostrils exposed, before launching themselves at prey with lightning-fast precision. Their muscular tails provide tremendous propulsion, allowing explosive short-distance lunges in water over 3 to 6 feet, rather than sustained high-speed acceleration. The attack unfolded with terrifying speed. Megan had crouched at the water's edge, positioning herself within 3 feet of the surface while extending food over the pond. The large male alligator, measuring approximately 10 feet in length, had been holding just beneath the surface with only its eyes and nostrils visible. In a single explosive movement, the reptile surged forward, covering the final 3 feet in an instant. Its massive jaws clamped down on Megan's extended forearm with crushing force, the serrated teeth penetrating deep into muscle and bone. The initial bite displaced Megan's center of gravity, pulling her off balance and into the water. The alligator immediately initiated its signature death roll, a violent rotational movement designed to disorient prey and cause massive tissue damage. The spinning motion tore through tendons, muscles, and blood vessels in her arm while simultaneously dragging her beneath the surface. The force of the roll caused severe trauma to her shoulder joint and upper arm, with bone fractures audible above the water's surface. As Megan struggled against the reptile's grip, the alligator maintained its hold and moved several feet from shore into deeper water. The death roll continued intermittently, each rotation causing additional damage to her already mangled limb. Blood clouded the water around them as the alligator's teeth severed major blood vessels. The combination of severe blood loss, shock, and inability to maintain her position at the surface quickly overwhelmed her. Within minutes, Megan lost consciousness and drowned, her body going limp in the predator's jaws. The alligator maintained its hold and remained in deeper water for several minutes, a typical attempt to submerge and cache large prey. As residents gathered and first responders began approaching the shoreline, the disturbance caused the reptile to release its grip and retreat a short distance, remaining in the area rather than fleeing completely. FWC officers had to neutralize the animal before divers could safely enter the water to recover the body. The incident prompted an immediate investigation by the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, focusing on the repeated feeding that had conditioned the alligator's behavior. The housing development implemented additional safety measures, including higher fencing and increased signage, Megan's family released a brief statement urging others to respect wildlife safety guidelines and avoid feeding wild animals. Local news coverage sparked debates about urban development near natural habitats and the responsibility of communities to educate residents about wildlife dangers. Megan Holt's story was a tragic reminder of how quickly an alligator can strike when feeding wildlife breaks down natural barriers. For Tyler Garrison, it wasn't a suburban pond he was entering, but the murky waters of a Gulf Coast inlet, where his decision to keep bleeding fish close to his body would attract something far more dangerous. It was August 22nd, 2020, in the murky waters of a Gulf Coast inlet channel, where the outgoing tide created perfect conditions for spearfishing. The channel mouth connected a series of backwater bays to the open Gulf, creating a natural funnel where baitfish congregated and predators followed. Visibility in the brackish water rarely exceeded 20 feet, and the strong tidal current carried scents far downstream along the underwater drop-off that marked deeper water. The late afternoon sun penetrated only the surface layers, leaving the depths shrouded in an ominous green darkness. Tyler Garrison, a 28-year-old construction worker, had planned this spearfishing trip with his dive buddy, a 31-year-old carpenter known for his overconfident approach to underwater hunting. The carpenter had suggested this particular spot, claiming it held larger fish than their usual locations and boasting about previous successful hunts in these treacherous waters. Their boat operator, a 44-year-old handyman with years of local knowledge, had anchored near the channel mouth and warned them about the strong current and limited visibility. A shore angler fishing from the nearby jetty rocks had noticed unusual baitfish activity, with schools scattering erratically near the drop-off, a telltale sign that larger predators were already in the area. Tyler entered the water carrying his spear gun and a metal stringer, which he clipped directly to his weight belt instead of using the recommended float system that would tow his catch safely behind him. This decision would prove fatal, as the stringer kept any speared fish directly against his body, where blood and scent would create an irresistible attraction for the channel's apex predators. The ebbing tide was already pushing a scent trail downstream along the very edge where bull sharks typically patrol during feeding hours. Bull sharks are among the most dangerous predators in coastal waters, capable of thriving in both saltwater and brackish environments. These powerful hunters can reach lengths of 11 feet and weights exceeding 500 pounds, with a powerful bite capable of severing flesh and bone. Unlike many shark species, bull sharks are highly aggressive and territorial, often investigating disturbances with direct, purposeful approaches. Their ability to hunt in shallow, murky water makes them particularly dangerous to divers and swimmers. Bull sharks rely heavily on their acute sense of smell, capable of detecting very low concentrations in flowing water. Their stocky build and powerful tail provide explosive acceleration, allowing them to close distances with frightening speed. The attack began as Tyler swam toward a shallow sandbar with 3 freshly speared fish bleeding from the stringer at his hip. A large bull shark, measuring approximately 9 feet in length, had been patrolling the drop-off when the scent trail reached its sensitive olfactory system. The shark approached with the characteristic behavior of its species, making short, direct passes to assess the source of the blood. Each pass brought the predator closer as it homed in on the strongest concentration of scent. The first contact came as a fast bump against the dangling fish mass. Tyler felt the impact, but continued swimming toward the sandbar, unaware that the shark was circling tighter with each pass. The predator returned within seconds, this time committing to a full attack. Its powerful jaws clamped down across the stringer, catching both the bleeding fish and Tyler's outer thigh in a devastating bite. The shark's serrated teeth, designed for cutting through flesh and bone, penetrated deep into the muscle tissue of Tyler's leg. The initial bite severed several major blood vessels, including branches of the femoral artery. The shark shook its head laterally with tremendous force, a behavior designed to tear away chunks of flesh from large prey. This violent shaking motion caused massive tissue damage and freed most of the fish from the stringer, but the predator maintained its grip on Tyler's leg. Blood immediately began pouring from the wound, creating an expanding crimson cloud in the water. water. The shark released its hold and veered away, but the scent of fresh human blood triggered an immediate return. The second attack came higher on Tyler's inner thigh, where the shark's teeth found the femoral artery itself. The bite crushed muscle, severed the major blood vessel, and caused catastrophic hemorrhaging. Tyler's body went into shock as blood loss reached critical levels. The warm Gulf water around him turned red as his life drained away through the massive wounds. His ability to swim effectively disappeared within moments as weakness overcame him. The shark, having inflicted the fatal damage, disappeared into the murky depths without making further contact. The boat operator spotted the blood in the water and immediately moved to Tyler's location, but the damage was already irreversible. Despite rapid transport to shore and emergency medical response, Tyler succumbed to massive blood loss before reaching the hospital. The attack had lasted less than 2 minutes, but the bull shark's precision in targeting major blood vessels made survival impossible. The incident prompted a review of spearfishing safety protocols by local dive operators, with emphasis on proper stringer techniques and buddy system procedures. Tyler's family issued a statement calling for better education about shark safety in Gulf waters. The attack highlighted the particular dangers of spearfishing in low-visibility environments where predators can approach undetected. The fatal incident involving Tyler Garrison illustrates the devastating consequences that unfold when essential diving safety measures are abandoned in waters teeming with sharks. Brooke Landon faced a different kind of danger entirely, not from oceanic hunters, but from what appeared to be a reliable barrier at a wildlife sanctuary that ultimately failed to provide the security she had trusted it would deliver. It was November 8th, 2019, at a private roadside animal facility nestled in the rural hills of Southeast Asia, where exotic cats were kept in aging enclosures for tourist viewing. The facility operated with minimal oversight, relying on entrance fees from backpackers seeking close encounters with dangerous wildlife. After-hours access was poorly controlled, with low public barriers and inadequate lighting creating safety hazards. The primary enclosures consisted of chain-link fencing with mesh spacing large enough for a large cat's paw to reach through. Brooke Landon, a 25-year-old marketing coordinator on a backpacking adventure, had arrived with her travel companion, a 27-year-old hospitality worker known for seeking thrilling experiences and dramatic social media content. The companion had been urging increasingly bold photo opportunities throughout their journey, pushing boundaries at every tourist stop. Their charter driver, a 41-year-old local patient, waited in the parking area while expressing concerns about their after-hours exploration plans. A 63-year-old groundskeeper had earlier directed visitors to remain behind the public barriers, but his warnings were dismissed as the facility prepared to close. The facility housed several large cats, including a mature female tiger that had been pacing restlessly along her enclosure's perimeter. The tiger had shown increasing agitation throughout the day as visitors gathered near her fence, and the approaching evening feeding time had heightened her predatory instincts. The standoff barrier was designed to keep visitors beyond the animal's reach, but its low height made it easy to cross for those seeking closer contact. Tigers are the largest wild cats in the world, with adult females weighing up to 350 pounds and possessing incredible strength and agility. These apex predators have evolved as solitary hunters, equipped with retractable claws up to 4 inches long and canine teeth measuring over 2 inches. A tiger's forelimbs are incredibly powerful, capable of delivering strikes with enough force to break bones and drag prey weighing several hundred pounds. Their hunting instincts are triggered by movement, and they possess lightning-fast reflexes that allow them to strike with deadly precision. Tigers in captivity often develop heightened territorial behaviors, becoming increasingly aggressive toward perceived threats. The attack unfolded with devastating speed as Brooke crossed the public barrier and positioned herself against the primary chain-link fence for a dramatic photograph. The female tiger, measuring over 8 feet in length, had been tracking her movement from inside the enclosure. As Brooke leaned against the mesh to adjust her pose, decorative items on her clothing swayed within the tiger's reach zone. The tiger lunged forward with explosive power, hooking Brooke's clothing and forearm through the mesh with her massive forepaw. The 4-inch claws penetrated deep into flesh and fabric, creating multiple puncture wounds along her arm. The tiger's incredible strength immediately pulled Brooke tight against the fence, trapping her against the chain-link barrier. The predator shifted her grip, clamping her powerful jaws around Brooke's arm near the shoulder. The tiger's canine teeth, designed for crushing bone and severing major blood vessels, penetrated through muscle and into the joint capsule. The bite force, measuring over 1,000 pounds per square inch, caused immediate fractures to the humerus and severe damage to the shoulder's vascular network. The tiger maintained her grip while shaking her massive head from side to side, a natural behavior used to subdue struggling prey. This violent motion tore through tendons, muscles, and major arteries in Brooke's shoulder and upper arm. Blood began flowing freely from multiple puncture wounds as the tiger's teeth severed the brachial artery and damaged surrounding tissue. The tiger continued to bite and crush the trapped limb through the fence. The sustained pressure from the powerful jaws caused progressive tissue destruction and massive internal bleeding. The tiger's claws, still embedded in her arm and torso, created additional wounds that contributed to the rapid blood loss. The struggle lasted less than 2 minutes as the tiger maintained control. The combination of crushing bite force, arterial damage, and multiple puncture wounds caused Brooke's blood pressure to drop rapidly. Shock set in as her body's systems began shutting down from the massive trauma and blood loss. Facility staff arrived within minutes, but the tiger refused to release her grip. Only after several attempts to distract the animal did she finally let go and retreat. By then, Brooke had lost consciousness from severe blood loss and trauma. Emergency responders transported Brooke to the nearest medical facility, but the extent of her injuries proved fatal. The combination of arterial damage, bone fractures, and massive tissue destruction had caused irreversible shock and organ failure. She was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. The incident prompted an immediate investigation by local authorities, focusing on the facility's inadequate safety barriers and lack of supervision. International animal welfare organizations called for stricter regulations governing tourist interactions with dangerous wildlife. Brooke's family released a statement urging travelers to research safety standards at exotic animal facilities. The tragic case of Brooke Landon serves as a stark reminder that flimsy barriers separating visitors from caged predators can transform what should be a simple photograph into a life-ending tragedy. Ethan Crowe's fate, however, wasn't sealed by faulty infrastructure. Instead, it was his choice to disregard fundamental safari protocols that ultimately cost him his life. It was May 14, 2022, at a renowned drive-through safari park in southern Africa, where visitors could observe wildlife from their vehicles along designated routes. The park's vast savanna was home to numerous lion prides accustomed to tourist vehicles. Clear signage warned visitors to keep windows closed and doors locked at all times, with rangers reinforcing these critical safety rules at the gate. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the grassland as the day's final tour groups moved through the predator sections. Ethan Crowe, a 32-year-old software developer on vacation, had entered the park with his passenger, a 29-year-old freelancer known for casual rule-breaking and seeking perfect shots for social media. The freelancer had been encouraging closer encounters throughout their African adventure, dismissing safety protocols as overly cautious. A park warden, a firm 52-year-old ranger with decades of experience, had personally repeated the window rules to every visitor, emphasizing the deadly consequences of exposure. Behind them, a cautious teacher traveling with family had noticed their erratic driving patterns around the animals. The pride they encountered consisted of a dominant male lion with several females resting under an acacia tree, roughly 100 feet from the road. The massive male, weighing over 400 pounds, had been observing vehicles with typical feline indifference. However, the pride's behavior changed as Ethan's vehicle approached and stopped within 16 feet of the resting cats, violating park guidelines and placing them within the lion's strike range. Lions are apex predators perfectly designed for taking down large prey, with males reaching weights of up to 500 pounds and possessing incredible strength and speed. Despite their reputation for laziness, lions can accelerate from rest to 35 miles per hour in seconds when motivated to attack. Their powerful forelimbs are equipped with retractable claws up to 2 inches long, while their massive jaws deliver a bite force exceeding 1,000 pounds per square square inch. Male lions are particularly territorial and aggressive, especially when they perceive threats to their pride. Their hunting instincts are triggered by movement, sound, and scent. The fatal sequence began when Ethan lowered his driver's side window to capture better footage of the pride. The sound of the electric window and movement of his hand holding the camera immediately caught the attention of the dominant male. The lion's ears perked forward as he focused on the opening in what had been a sealed barrier. Ethan extended his arm outside the window for a closer angle, unaware his movements were being tracked by one of nature's most efficient predators. The male lion rose from his resting position with fluid grace, moving with deceptive casualness toward the vehicle. Each step brought the 400-pound predator closer to the exposed window, his golden eyes locked on the movement from the car's interior. The lion approached from the driver's side in a direct line, covering the distance in less than 10 seconds. Without warning, the lion reared up on his hind legs, bringing his massive frame to window height. His powerful forepaws gained purchase on the door frame as his claws extended for grip. The lion's enormous head thrust toward the open window, and his jaws clamped down on Ethan's neck and shoulder with devastating force. The initial bite crushed vertebrae and severed major blood vessels, including the carotid artery and jugular vein. The lion's incredible strength allowed him to drag Ethan partially through the window before pulling him completely from the vehicle to the ground. The predator's canine teeth, measuring over 2 inches, penetrated deep into the neck and upper chest, causing massive trauma to vital structures. The bite crushed the trachea and damaged the spinal cord while severing multiple major blood vessels. Once on the ground, the lion executed a controlling bite to Ethan's throat, a technique used to subdue large prey quickly. The powerful jaws maintained crushing pressure, while the lion's forepaws pinned the body to prevent escape. The combination of spinal damage, airway obstruction, and massive blood loss caused rapid unconsciousness. The lion held his position for several minutes, ensuring his prey was completely subdued. The crushing force continued to cause internal damage, while blood flowed from multiple puncture wounds. The attack lasted less than 3 minutes from initial approach to the final moments. Park rangers responded within minutes, but the lion maintained his position over Ethan's body, preventing immediate rescue attempts. Only after rangers used vehicles and noise to drive the lion away could they reach the victim. Emergency medical personnel arrived quickly, but Ethan's injuries were incompatible with life. The combination of spinal trauma, airway damage, and catastrophic blood loss had caused death within minutes of the initial attack. The incident prompted a comprehensive review of park safety protocols and visitor education programs. Enhanced signage and mandatory safety briefings were implemented. Ethan's family released a statement emphasizing the importance of following wildlife safety rules and supporting conservation efforts despite the tragedy. Ethan Crow's story proved that safety rules exist for life or death reasons with apex predators. For Jenna Carlisle, danger came not from the open savanna, but from a seemingly secure sanctuary where intelligent predators would coordinate an unstoppable attack. It was April 17, 2018, at a primate sanctuary in East Africa, where rescued chimpanzees lived in large enclosures designed to provide natural habitat while ensuring visitor safety. The sanctuary operated a double barrier system with a restricted buffer zone between the public walkway and primary enclosure, clearly marked with warning signs. The facility housed several troops in spacious compounds surrounded by reinforced fencing. A compromised section in the primary barrier had developed a hand-width gap that maintenance crews had not yet repaired. Jenna Carlisle, a 26-year-old environmental science graduate, had arrived as part of an educational tour focusing on primate conservation. She was accompanied by a 22-year-old student volunteer assigned to remind visitors about buffer zones and safety protocols. Their guide, a 47-year-old eco-tour specialist known for following procedures strictly, was leading another group through a different section when the incident occurred. A vigilant 35-year-old security guard was conducting perimeter patrol from the gatehouse, unaware that a visitor had breached the secondary barrier. The troop Jenna encountered consisted of 7 adult chimpanzees, including several large males and females who had shown increasing agitation as visitors gathered near their enclosure. These chimpanzees had been rescued from traumatic situations and retained heightened defensive behaviors around humans. The afternoon feeding schedule had been delayed, adding to their restlessness. The gap in the primary fencing had been created by repeated pressure from the chimps testing the barrier. Chimpanzees are among the most powerful primates on Earth, with adult males possessing strength 5 to 7 times greater than humans. These intelligent animals weigh up to 150 pounds and stand over 4 feet tall, with incredibly long arms that provide exceptional reach and leverage. Their hands are equipped with opposable thumbs and fingers capable of exerting crushing grip strength, while their canine teeth can grow up to 2 inches long. Chimpanzees are highly social animals that coordinate attacks when threatened, with multiple individuals working together to overwhelm perceived threats. The attack began when Jenna climbed the secondary fence to retrieve a dropped personal item in the restricted buffer zone. Her movement immediately triggered aggressive responses from the entire troop, who gathered at the primary fence line with escalating agitation as she approached the compromised barrier section. The first contact came when the largest male chimp seized Jenna's sleeve through the gap, using his powerful grip to pull her arm against the mesh. Within seconds, other troop members joined the assault. A second chimp grabbed her hair, while a third latched onto her other arm, creating multiple control points that prevented escape. The coordinated attack intensified as more chimpanzees reached through the gap to grasp clothing and exposed skin. Their powerful hands tore at fabric and flesh, while long fingers found purchase on her limbs and torso. The chimps pulled her tighter against the fence, bringing more of her body within reach of their grasping hands and snapping teeth. The troop's assault focused on typical chimpanzee target areas, with multiple animals biting at her hands, face, and arms simultaneously. Their 2-inch canine teeth punctured skin and muscle, creating deep wounds that bled profusely. The chimp's incredible grip strength crushed bones in her hands and fingers, while coordinated pulling motions caused severe tissue damage across her upper body. As the attack continued, the chimpanzees maintained their holds while delivering repeated bites and strikes. Their intelligence allowed them to coordinate the assault, with some animals holding her in position while others inflicted damage. Multiple bite wounds severed major blood vessels in her arms and neck, causing rapid blood loss that quickly led to shock. The sustained attack, with 7 adult chimpanzees participating simultaneously, created massive trauma across multiple body systems. Deep puncture wounds from canine teeth damaged vital structures, while powerful hands crushed bones and tore soft tissue. The combination of multiple arterial injuries and severe tissue destruction caused catastrophic blood loss. The assault continued for several minutes until security personnel arrived and used noisemakers and water hoses to drive the troop away from the fence. By the time they could safely extract Jenna from the barrier, she had lost consciousness from severe blood loss and trauma. Emergency responders transported Jenna to the nearest medical facility, but the extent of her injuries proved fatal. The combination of multiple arterial damage, severe tissue destruction, and massive blood loss had caused irreversible shock and organ failure. She was pronounced dead shortly after arrival, despite aggressive resuscitation efforts. The incident prompted an immediate investigation by local authorities and international primate welfare organizations, focusing on barrier maintenance and visitor safety protocols. The compromised fencing section was immediately repaired and additional security measures implemented. Jenna's family released a statement supporting the sanctuary's conservation mission while calling for enhanced safety standards. Jenna Carlisle's story demonstrated how even well-intentioned conservation facilities can become deadly when safety barriers fail and intelligent and coordinated attackers coordinate attacks. Thanks for watching. Want to watch more? Click on your screen now.